Welcome to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Kevin King.
And I'm Christy Derry. Have you ever had a shiver run up your spine, seen something out of the corner of your eye, heard an unexplained voice? Have you ever had a run-in with a ghost? And today we are talking about the paranormal, yes, much to your dismay, and one of Michigan's most famous hauntings, the Holly Hotel.
Joining us today is the founder of the Michigan Paranormal Research Association. As part of the MPRA, she has been featured on several television shows such as the Travel Channel's Most Terrifying Places in America and A&E's My Ghost Story. She has been researching the metaphysical and demonology for over 12 years and performed countless house cleanings. We would like to welcome Sam Harris to Celebrate Michigan.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you for that lovely intro.
Also joining us is metaphysical shop owner and Stir the Imagination. She is a former hostess at the Holly Hotel and now runs the ghost hunts and seances at the hotel. We would like to welcome Rhonda Groves Young to Celebrate Michigan.
Thank you so
both
much
for joining us today.
It's great to be here.
It's a
Thanks,
pleasure.
thanks for having us.
This is such an interesting kind of like tiptoey topic. People don't always want to talk about it. Let's start with something real basic. What is a haunting?
A haunting, based on kind of a Western view, is when we cannot explain certain phenomena going on in a household. Like you're hearing different sounds, you're seeing an apparition of spirit, or so to say. And when you go into a house and you try to really debunk or figure out what this really is, and you can't find a rational explanation, we then kind of presume that it's going to be a paranormal explanation, that it is haunted. But we like to go through a lot of different methods trying to clarify and figure out, is this really a haunting, or is this, figment of someone's imagination, or what's really going on here. But a lot of the times we have a lot of hauntings that we deal with.
What drew you to this type of work that you even wanted to find an explanation for it?
Oh gosh.
Instead of just being scared.
Yeah. Well, I have had weird paranormal odd experiences since I was very little.
Like what?
Like weird psychic premonitions. I know that sounds goofy. I've had death premonitions, things like that. I had seen apparitions or shadow figures, heard voices and stuff, and I was not crazy. So after psychological evaluation, no, I'm just kidding. And also, I think growing up in Ann Arbor, it was like really spiritual, more open-minded community and things like that. And also, every generation on my mom's side of the family kind of has this gift, so to say. Some people think it's a burden, but I kind of view it as a gift, and I think that other people like to use their intuition stuff, as Rhonda does.
And Rhonda, how did you get involved?
Two things. I've always had sort of strange things, unexplainable things happen to me too most of my life, and I've always had this sort of extrasensory perception, being able to feel like something is going to happen and then it actually manifests. And then just a general love of the mysteries. I love the mysteries, and for the most part I don't want them figured out, because once they're all figured out, then there are no more mysteries. But it's a combination of probably those things.
So what's the difference between, like, say you see something or you hear something and it's just a figment of your imagination versus I want to pursue it and actually find out what was that I saw? Is it just okay just to leave it alone and say, hey, I saw a man in the mirror, it's fine?
There's a lot of times where I have something strange happen, and because it's so frequent in my strange life, I'm just like, I'm going to ignore that, and I'm just going to go about my day, or I'm doing laundry, I'm busy with something else. But there's a lot of times where people will call us and be like, I have a severe haunting, we need help with this. And then that's when I get called in to do an investigation and do a house blessing or house cleansing. So it just depends. A lot of the times, I'm sure you've had some strange experiences too. So,
One or two.
Yeah, exactly. It just, I don't know, it just depends on the day, I guess, and if we're busy with investigations or not.
So what kind of things happen in a severe haunting?
Oh goodness. Well, not to go off the deep end here, sounding even further crazy, but we have cases where people have been scratched, like choked, they've been attacked by things that they can't see, or sometimes things that they do see. We've had voices mimicking other family members or relatives when they're not even home, things like that. There's just been a lot of severe stuff, and I never grew up believing in these things. I actually did take a scientific approach to this whole field of research, and then after going through different numerous cases, I then started to believe in these things. But some of the things that scare me the most about severe hauntings is when I will be preparing to do a house blessing, and I actually have an entity, this has happened twice, come to my house and visit me to try to scare me off, so to say, I guess. And then before I go to the house blessing, right? Yeah. So it's a little intense. It does affect you in your personal life, and it does endanger you in certain ways, and so it is pretty severe. So.
All right. So wait a minute. So you're telling me.
Let's slow down.
Yeah. So someone calls and says, "Hey, you know what? I've been scratched. Something's going on," and you go to the house. What do you do? Like, what do you bless? You have like water or something? Or
Yeah, well, I studied a bunch of different religions and cultures, and I like to kind of bring a global approach to how I do house blessings, and I believe that there's many different methods to use in order to get rid of these entities or energies. But I primarily use white sage, olive oil, salt, and sometimes I like to use holy water just to cover my bases. Couldn't be bad to use, right? Exactly. And so it's a huge part of counseling with the family too. A lot of the families that I deal with have like severe issues with substance abuse, depression, violence, all sorts of other stuff that's going on in their lives, and really negative atmospheres that kind of draw these entities in. But an average haunting, it kind of goes back to a historical thing. So it's definitely depends on the scenario.
Yeah, I was on a ghost hunt recently where the house was an older home. This young couple had just moved into it. They both had sort of emotional issues, some emotional baggage, and she was manic depressive. She was bipolar. And they had things happen like they were putting their bed frame together and walked out of the room, and when they came back into the room, all of the screws that went to the bed frame were sitting up on their flat edge in a perfect circle in the room.
Are you serious?
So it sort of freaked him out a little bit. But that's how
You've seen this with your own two eyes.
Yes. And for me, deciding how I'm going to handle a haunting or paranormal activity really depends on how the people deal with it who are actually experiencing it.
Gotcha.
If it's just kind of fun for them and it doesn't bother them, they don't feel endangered, we just leave it alone. We'll go document whatever it is that's happening, just so that they know, okay, we have documented proof that you're not crazy, these things are actually happening. And then we just leave it alone, and we'll talk to who or whatever is there with us and say, we're happy to coexist.
Yeah.
And it's all good. You live here, you don't take up any more room than we do, so
Set some boundaries.
Sometimes
yeah.
not in your
yeah.
room.
And you set the boundaries. But if they're really scared, sometimes we just simply ask, please, they don't want to see you, they don't want to hear you. So like within their field of being able to see or hear or smell, you freak them out. So just kind of be quiet, and a lot of times that's all it takes.
Well, we're going to take a short break.
We're going to take a short break. When we come right back, we're going to talk more with Samantha and Rhonda about the hauntings at the Holly Hotel and reveal evidence that ghosts exist.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Nobody loves you.
Ever hear these words?
Hey, useless. Don't you do anything right?
Do they sound familiar?
You're a horrible person. Get rid of yourself. Do the world a favor. Leave.
Do you say them? To yourself?
Hello?
Up to 24 million people in the US are their own worst enemy.
I need to lose 30 pounds. How come I can't be pretty? Ugh, I look so fat. Those love handles? That's it. I'm not eating this week.
I rule your voice.
You are worth it. The disorder is not.
Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words hurt me.
In 1977, an 8-year-old boy picked up the game of golf from his father. The odds of that same boy then making it to the US and European pro golf tours, 1 in 7 million. The odds of the Big Easy winning the US Open twice, 1 in 1.2 billion. The odds of him having a child diagnosed with autism, 1 in 110. Ernie Els encourages you to learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Nice. No! Oops. Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Moms everywhere are finding ways to keep kids active and healthy.
Works every time.
Get ideas, get involved, get going at letsmove.gov.
Welcome back to Celebrate Michigan. I'm Kevin King.
And I'm Christy Daring. We are talking with Samantha Harris from the Michigan Paranormal Research Association and Rhonda Groves-Young from Stir the Imagination about the paranormal. Now, a lot of the stuff you're saying, it's a lot for somebody to take in if they've never had an experience like that. But if they've never had an experience like that, maybe they should go to the Holly Hotel. Can you guys give us a little bit of the history of the Holly Hotel and why it is such a hot spot today?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was built in 1891, and one of the first owners was John Hurst, and he's considered to be one of the most prominent of the haunters there. He was a heavy cigar smoker, and so we've had people come in and, even though it's a non-smoking place, smell that heavy cigar smoke scent. Last year when I was oh no, it's 2 years ago now. Yeah. When I was hostessing the front, it was during a very, very busy, it was during the Christmas holiday. And I was standing at the front in the lobby just waiting for the next folks to come in who would need to be seated at their table. And I had my back to the main dining room and I was facing the front door and someone came up and actually hip bumped me out of my spot. And I thought it was one of the servers coming to get one of the extra menus on the floor, and I turned around and there was no one there.
Oh, that's crazy. It's nonstop. It's always busy there every single time we've been there, and we haven't ever been together like at the Holly Hotel before, but we're just comparing notes that we always have an experience when we go there.
So
everyone should
go.
Yeah.
If something like that could happen to me.
Yes, absolutely.
I almost
I want to see it. I want to come. You're serious. I could come there and something funny.
Try it
Something
out.
Can happen.
may happen.
You actually, Rhonda, you do seances and ghost huntings at the hotel.
Yes.
So people could, let's say, people who haven't had an experience yet could go and...
Very, very, very much so. It's very likely. This year's ghost hunt produced, well, one gal got the typical 3 scratches on her arm. We had
Scary.
For real light? This is real light?
Yes. She pulled. Her arm started to burn. Just got that burning sensation, and she pulled up her sleeve, and she had 3 long scratch marks in her arm. We had a lady who got physically ill for no apparent reason. She left and came back, and once she left, she was fine.
Yeah.
No.
Just got to put that out there.
Yeah, exactly.
That same ghost hunt, we got a picture of a full body apparition of what we believe is Nora Kane, who was one of the first caretakers there. She was a manager of the place when it was a home for single mothers, and we all know what that euphemism is for. And her portrait is actually hanging in the lobby of the hotel, but the picture that we got of her is on the 2nd floor in the president's room, and there are several people standing around, and you can see they're in normal street dress, and she's the last one up against the wall, and she's got the dark long sleeve dress and a high-waisted skirt and the white collar, and it's very clearly a full body apparition of our dear Nora.
Do people notice these things when they're there, like the pictures, or is it like they get home and they're going through the pictures and it's like, wait, what was that?
Yeah, that's exactly how it happens, and sometimes it's the 2nd or 3rd time you check the picture.
And we actually have one of a picture, one that Samantha brought for us. Can we take a look at that picture and you guys can tell us what we were seeing?
See what we can do.
Yeah, the picture in the bottom right, in the right-hand corner, is where an apparition actually appeared. And it wasn't there or present. No one saw it during the time the picture was actually captured. But upon further review later on, you see something a little bit strange there. So we were kind of taken aback by that. And the top left picture is actually a before picture. And these were taken within seconds. You can see the one person moved a couple of feet to the left, but everything else remained the same in the whole picture, except that now there's an entity in the background. So very mysterious.
So
well, we have another picture here that Rhonda brought for us today. And this actually, Rhonda, can you tell us about that oval?
Sure.
It looks like a picture in the back.
This is a photograph of 4 people who just came on a Friday night to dinner, and their server was Alex Cripps, who is one of the longtime employees there. And they asked him if he would do a photo op for them. And this is the picture that he took of them. And you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, it looks like a portrait of a young girl.
Right.
That is actually a mirror. That
That's
is
a
not a
mirror?
portrait. That is actually a mirror. So what you're seeing is a manifestation of, and when you bring that picture up on a computer and zoom in on that, you can actually see her facial features. You can see her eyes, her little chin. She's about 12 or 13 years old probably. Her hair's parted down the middle and pulled back into a little bun. She's got that white lacy collar. And we believe that this is a manifestation of our little Amelia.
Okay. And then we have another picture here. Where was this one taken?
This was taken through the display window in the front of where my shop was. This was taken when my shop was in the lower level of the Holly Hotel. And what you're seeing is looking through the window, you can see the things that were hanging in the window, the spinners and a couple of things that were hanging in the window. But you can also see these unusual flat, elongated rectangles. Those are actually books floating in midair.
Oh my gosh.
And the reason that we
Interesting.
we were so excited to get this one is because one of the things that always happened when my shop was in the lower level is I would lock up the night before, come in the next day, and the books that I had for sale in the shop would be off of the top shelf in order, like a pathway from the bookshelf all the way to the front door.
Oh my gosh.
And so I was picking up and replacing books all the time. So to see them floating in midair was really exciting.
Ghost jokes, apparently. They
Now,
like to play jokes.
Can people get videos of this stuff now? Like, I'm wondering because I would love the floating as on a video.
This photograph was taken by he's a very well-known photographer. His name is Steve Sexton, and what he does is travel the world and takes photographs of rock concerts of famous rock bands. And he just happened to be in town that day, and the store was closed, and he called me because my phone number was on the window. He said, can I take pictures of your shop through the window? I said, I don't care. Sure. And he emailed those pictures.
Wow.
So what's in it for why would someone come and visit? I mean, like, because couldn't that have like long-term effects when you leave? You know, like if
Scarring
you go home
emotionally.
You went there and you have 3 scars, and you go home and now you're just all weirded out now for the rest of your life. Like, why?
I think it's a great question because some people are like, why would you do that? Why would you want to like endanger yourself? And most of the events, at least from my experiences, we don't have a lot of violent stuff like that. But if you are curious and open-minded and you want to experience something different, then I think it's always a great idea to try something out and visit the Holly Hotel.
But it's not going to mess with you at post leaving the Holly Hotel.
I have heard of things following people.
I've had a couple things follow me home.
Let's save that for our next segment. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.